This is KGW News at noon.
I think we have to come together and start showing empathy and love towards one another. I know my dad was just one, but there's so many others that are experiencing what my family is experiencing, and this is not anything you wish on anyone.
That woman's family is mourning the loss of her father, another victim of gun violence in Portland. Welcome to the News at Noon. I'm Drew Carney. 2 people were shot and killed in Portland over the weekend. One early Saturday morning, the other early Sunday morning. Mike Benner has more on this pair of deadly shootings, which both took place on the city's east side.
This was the scene at Southeast 9th and Ash overnight. Officers responding to reports of a shooting around 1:15 Sunday morning. They found evidence of gunfire, but no victim. Turned out he went by private vehicle to the hospital, where he later died. This deadly shooting was the second in Portland in a 24-hour span, the first coming around 1:15 Saturday morning near Southeast 136th and Powell. Neighbors expressing their frustration just hours after the shooting.
I would really wish people would understand that once they shoot that person, it's over. It's no more.
And perhaps nobody understands that more than the family and friends of the victim, identified by authorities as Jose Monroy Castaneda. The suspect in the shooting death of the 52-year-old remains a mystery. So too does the motive. Detectives certainly have their work cut out for them, just as they do with the second deadly shooting of the weekend, the one at Southeast 9th and Ash in Portland's Buckman neighborhood. A GoFundMe has been launched to help Jose Monroy Castaneda's family with unexpected expenses in the wake of his sudden death. If you'd like to contribute, you can find a link to that GoFundMe on our website, kgw.com. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Portland police also have their hands full with street racing. And as the weather gets nicer, police expect the racing to ramp up. So they're planning what they're calling enforcement missions to deal with the problem, especially along North Marine Drive. Neighbors say the only thing that stops the racing at this point is rain. Those neighbors are frustrated because of the noise and the danger that street racing poses to the community. They say it's gone on far too long without any major intervention from police.
Thought they already had a task force and were taking care of it, but when I'd ask police officers that have been around here, they just always say no one's going to go out there.
Last month, 4 people were shot while watching street racing there on Marine Drive. 2 of those 4 were teenagers and one of them was just 11 years old. Police did arrest someone in connection with those shootings. The city is planning another homeless camp sweep at Laurelhurst Park in Southeast Portland. People camping there were told to be out by this morning. The last time we saw an extensive cleanup of that area was about 8 months ago. But eventually, campers came back, and neighbors say so did the trash and the drug activity.
I'm fortunate enough to live near the park, but I walk through and I go in the morning and I see the needles. I see people who've been so strung out they couldn't even make it into a tent for the night.
The city's rapid response team posted new eviction notices on Friday, letting campers know they had 72 hours to pack up and leave. So that means today. But a homeless camper there that we spoke to told us these sweeps are not the answer to the problem.
I've been here 3 different times on clearing it. They just keep running us off and then we come right back. Where else is there to go? You know, just it. Where is there to go? You know, I don't know. I'm open for suggestions.
The Laurelhurst Neighborhood Association wants to find a solution for sure, so that group has a safety summit planned for the middle of next month. All right, let's get to some other local headlines this afternoon. We'll start with the murder trial of romance novelist Nancy Crampton Brophy, which is on hold now after someone tested positive for COVID, someone involved with the case. Nancy is accused of shooting and killing her husband, Daniel Brophy, back in 2018. He was an instructor at the Oregon Culinary Institute. Last week, the prosecution rested and the defense will take over when the trial resumes 1 week from today on Monday, May 2nd. Meanwhile, a woman from Albany is in jail this afternoon, accused of killing her 3-year-old daughter. Police pulled over Rebecca Gasparino around 2:30 in the morning on Saturday after she ran a stop sign. During that traffic stop, officers realized that she may be a danger to herself or to others, so they did a welfare check at her home, and that's when they found her daughter's body. Gasparino is now in the Lynn County Jail facing charges that include first-degree murder. And one final headline here, the U.S. Coast Guard is sharing dramatic video of crews rescuing 2 teenagers over the weekend. This happened on Saturday just before 5 p.m. The Coast Guard says a helicopter crew from North Bend and Depot Bay Fire rescued the teens at Whale Cove, that's between Depot Bay and Newport. The 13-year-old and the 15-year-old were taken to a nearby beach where EMS was waiting. Neither one was hurt. Well, the cold, wet, and even snowy weather that we've seen this month is impacting the up and down winemaking of local winemakers. So some of those winemakers think their grapes were damaged by valley snow late this year. Others say it's really too early to tell. Alma McCarty breaks down the science for us.
Looking at a little bit of frost damage here. So that bud's okay.
After below freezing temperatures hit Oregon crops last week, Jessica Cortell went out to assess the damage for herself.
That one seems okay. This one here, though, the secondary might be okay, but this one, see how it's limp? So this one's probably, yeah, this one's not gonna make it. While they're dormant, they can handle very cold temperatures. But as soon as they rehydrate and start growing, they lose that resistance to the cold, and then 28 degrees can cause significant damage.
Cortell manages vineyards throughout the Willamette Valley. She's calculating now for her clients how much crop could be lost.
You go to one vineyard where there was significant damage, and then go to another one nearby and have minimal or less damage.
Others say
Everyone wants to know an answer.
it's still too early to know the exact impacts or losses from the freezing conditions.
Since frost impact is very site specific, not all vineyards were affected.
Jessica Mosaico is owner and winemaker of AFI Wines, as well as board chair for the Willamette Valley Wineries Association.
If a site was already had bud break at the time that the freezing event happened, it could stunt the growth, which will be a quantity issue, meaning that the crop load would be lower. It has nothing to do with quality. So I would say right now it's too soon to estimate how much quantity will be decreased, and it certainly has no impact on quality.
Mosaico says in a month or so, they'll have a better idea.
We won't know if that random sampling is a true assessment, nor will we know if it really is going to impact growth until we start to see that growth.
Both believe no matter the outcome,
We'll hope for the best. I know we have a lot of resilience in this industry.
We're all learning together and sharing information as we go and collaborating so that we can all make informed decisions as we learn.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
Rob, what do you say we don't focus on some of the weather we saw earlier this month and we focus on simply the last week of April here?
But I do believe I need to say this, all right? That story was based on the first couple of weeks of April. The first couple weeks of April, freezing temperatures in Yamhill County and Hood River County, at least at low elevations, absolutely typical. What was not typical was the snow. So kind of a mixed bag of whether this was unusual or not, temperature-wise, which I think it was not, okay? Here's a look at what's going on. Satellite picture, we've got rain scattered mostly on the west side, nothing out east. It's been light stuff like we thought it would be. And with the cloud cover and the occasional showers, temperatures have been steady. It's definitely, according to radar imagery, been far more wet out on the east side going up into the Cascades than it has been on the west side. I love this picture because it's cloudy. It's not the prettiest of day. Look at all the people on the practice green at Hood River. This is out in Hood River at Indian Creek Golf Course, I'm trying to say. And there hasn't really been much of any rain make it into the Hood River Valley, but showers are possible for you folks out there this afternoon. Downtown Portland, certainly cloudy. We're at 55. We could still get up to 60 with occasional showers. If you are watching us from the gorge, your west winds expected to pick up and become noticeably gusty this afternoon. Drew?